Hey guys, this is Mac again on behalf of Strongside Tactical. This is part 2 of the AR-15 field stripping and cleaning video. We've gotten our rifle apart now, and now we're going to use our cleaning supplies here to get a good clean on this upper receiver, and then go back with a great product that I'm a big fan of now, Frog Lube. This is a revolutionary, awesome product for AR-15s. We'll go back when we're done and lube this rifle up, and then we'll be ready to go. If we need to shoot in competitions or home defense or whatever we're going to do. Please take this moment to either subscribe to our channel here or either to like the video. If you do, those really help, and they help us get viewed more on YouTube, so I would appreciate that. So let's get started. We've got the rifle apart now, and our penetrating solvent that we're going to use here to clean the rifle is M-Pro 7 gun cleaner. This is an awesome product. It's, I think, put out by a subsidiary of Hops, which also makes Hops number 9, one of the most classic, widely used gun solvents on the market. But this comes in a spray bottle, which I really like, and that way I can, get it into my chamber and down my barrel. And then we're going to let this sit for about 5 minutes. So let's start with the bolt carrier. Just going to spray this all over, spray some down in the gas tube carrier key. And then I'm going to set that to the side there. Now, I would also use these, on my parts of my bolt carrier, or my bolt actually. But sometimes I also like to soak these, in a dish here in Hops number 9. So I went ahead and put these in between videos. And these have been soaking now for about 10 minutes. And then after they soak, I'll take them out, wipe them off. And if I need to go back with either more solvent or brake cleaner or either this M-Pro 7, I'll get all the remaining carbon off of there. So those are soaking. Charging handle, this one's pretty easy to clean. It's widely, accessible. There's not many crooks and crannies that are hard to get into, so I'm just going to spray that down and let it sit for a few minutes. Now, for our barrel, this is a little more time intensive, so let's get all set up here. Okay, so let's go ahead and spray some of this M-Pro penetrating solvent down into our upper receiver. That way any of the carbon that's been blowing back into the upper receiver, we can start sort of letting it saturate and break loose. And also I'm going to try to spray as much of this as I can down the barrel, and I'll hold the barrel sort of tipped down so that hopefully some of that will start running down the barrel. We'll let that sit for a few minutes. While we're doing that, let's go ahead and get set up with our barrel rod. So this is just a 3-piece cheap 22 caliber rod that you can put together to push patches down your barrel. I went ahead and put a jag on the end of this one because I'm going to push the patches down. You could also use the little end piece that has the loop on it that you run the patches through, and you can either push or pull patches down the barrel. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of using force to ram anything down the barrel because there's a chance that you're going to sacrifice accuracy when you do that. If you're not super into precision shooting and that doesn't bother you, then no big deal. But I don't want to do anything, no matter how minor, that can affect the accuracy of my barrel. So I'm pretty gentle when I use rods, and then actually a lot of the time I don't even use a rod to push patches down. I just use the bore snake. So we're letting this sit now. I'm going to use these small patches and either saturate them with a little bit of M-Pro 7, or you could use Hops number 9 or whatever you want to use there. Go ahead and put that into the chamber there, and then I'm going to use this jag, if you can see what I'm doing here, to push this all the way down the barrel. And once that comes out the end, then we'll just repeat the process. Now, another way you could do this last step that I was doing, that's traditionally done with patches, pushing patches through until they become clean, is by using a bore brush or a bore snake, actually. Now this is one that's made by Hops, and it's .422 caliber, and it's just nice nylon fiber back here, or cotton, or whatever this is, and then right here it's got a little area of it that has little wire bristles on it. They're very faint, you know, they're not sharp or anything. They don't hurt when you touch them. And that's gonna, you know, go down and break a lot of the last little bits of carbon loose and then let the bore snake get them off. So you run this down your receiver a couple times. It's got a brass end that's heavy, allow you to drop it down in your barrel. I'm going to run it all the way through from the back of the receiver, put it in the barrel, and just drop it down. Let gravity take it all the way to the front. And then this will take just a tiny amount of elbow grease here. Just pull this guy all the way through to the front. And I'm just going to do it one time there because I've already done it a couple times. And I'm done with this barrel as far as cleaning. And we'll go back and put some lube on it. But I'll visually inspect down the barrel and make sure I don't see any obvious defects. So this is done. Now the last part of cleaning that I want to do on my upper receiver is to actually clean out the inside of the upper receiver. I'm going to use that bore brush for 223 or 556 that I showed you earlier. After my M-Pro has been penetrating in there, and then I'll either use some compressed air or actually maybe the brake cleaner to sort of blow out all of the deposits and carbon out of the upper receiver. So you can either put a little more M-Pro on this, or you can just actually go in with the brush, go into the chamber and maybe give it a couple of turns to sort of break loose some of that last little remaining bits of loose deposits there. I usually do it once or twice maybe. You can also use some of these other brushes I was showing you to clean out the inside of the upper receiver there. But compressed air works really good. If you clean your rifle fairly frequently, then just using solvent and compressed air will get most of that stuff out. Okay, now we've got everything decarboned and degreased and decleaned. And if you want to get the last little bits of dirt off, then you can use compressed air or in a can or an air compressor or whatever you want to do. That's usually what I do. And I've now got everything ready. It's ready to reassemble and get lubed. So let's talk a little second here about frog lube. Now this is fairly new. It's been out for, I guess, maybe a year or so, maybe 2 years at the most. It's an all-natural product that they say is made out of food products. It's actually something that would be considered edible, even though I don't think I'd want to eat it. But anyway, this stuff is amazing. It goes on, you can put it anywhere. You can put it on plastic, put it on aluminum, metal, and it goes on cold. And as it heats up, it actually penetrates into the metal, into the plastic, and provides protection and lubrication. It's really great, especially on a rifle. You go out and you shoot it and you get it hot, and as it's working, it's actually lubing the rifle better and also protecting it from getting dirty. So then when you come back after your next range trip or competition and you need to do the cleaning steps that I'm doing here, your job is cut in half, because this stuff's just going to fall right off. So this is the frog lube paste. It comes with basically like a paintbrush that you use to paint this on. I'm mostly going to be using this. And also it comes as a liquid, that you can drip into different areas and then smooth out with a brush or your hands or whatever you want to do. You can get this as a kit. You can buy them separately. It was easier for me to get some in as a kit. So now that we're all cleaned up, let's get lubed up and then we'll reassemble this rifle. The first thing I want to do is I want to get some of this down my barrel, and I want to get it pretty evenly dispersed around the barrel. So I'm just going to run a patch behind it just to sort of even it out down the barrel. So the first thing I'll do is I'll take this liquid and I'll drip a few drops just right down the barrel, and take my patch and just run it right down the barrel, and I'm good with that. Okay, I got that barrel done with the liquid. Now let's go to the paste. Now this is the frog lube paste. It's this bright lime green, minty smelling, pasty type stuff. I'm going to use this brush just to brush it in everywhere. You have to kind of dig into it a little bit, but I'm going to put this all along the inside of the receiver. Just try to not leave any obvious big lumps of lube anywhere, but get everything pretty evenly dispersed. And you can just put it almost anywhere in here. And then either, heat it up with a hair dryer, or either just go out and shoot the rifle. That's what I'm going to do. And this stuff will just melt right into the metal, and you're going to be nicely lubed and protected. So this takes a little while, but go in and just paint it up inside, paint the outside too. Helps to protect the outside of the rifle, against rust and corrosion and that kind of stuff too. It can be put on anything on your rifle: plastic, aluminum, metal, like I said earlier. So this will take a little bit, so I'm going to keep working on this. Now I'm going to coat up this bolt carrier group pretty well. This is the one part of your AR-15 rifle that you need to make sure is the most well taken care of and maintained. So very good cleaning, and then very good lubrication, whether it's with something like frog lube, or either if you're out the range, dropping in drops of lube, oil, CLP, Slip 2000, whatever you're going to use. That's going to keep you running when you're out on the range shooting high round counts. So I'm really going to lather this up with frog lube and make sure that it's well coated and well penetrated into the metal. I'm not going to put any inside that carrier key. Try to stay out of there as much as possible. I don't want anything in there. That's the potential to make your rifle not cycle properly if you get something stuck inside that carrier key. This is where the gas tube goes, right here. Now here's the bolt. Now the one thing I didn't do here on this bolt was I didn't take the extractor off and clean the inside there. You don't really need to do that all that often. You do that by taking this little retaining push pin out, and that'll allow the ejector right here to come out, and you'll see there's a spring under there, and some people run a little rubber O-ring under there to help with extraction. So you can do that. I'm not going to do that today, but I wanted to explain how you do that. Now I'm really coating this bolt really well with this frog lube, and we'll either set that out in the sun or put a hair dryer on it, or either just go out and shoot so that we get that thing nice and lubed. Firing pin, you can throw a little bit on there, but it's probably not as important to get it all over this firing pin. And the cam pin, I'm going to get a good amount here on the cam pin too, just because it does move around inside there as the gun's shooting and cycling. Okay, now we've got everything lubed up with frog lube. We've got our liquid there that we can use at the end to drop any last little bits or drops or pieces into the rifle. Let's put our bolt back together. Okay, so here's your bolt. You want to figure out which side your extractor's on, because that's going to go toward the side with your ejection port, which for most AR-15 rifles is the right side, or the strong side of the rifle. So the bolt carrier goes this way toward the front of the rifle, with the carrier key facing toward the muzzle of the barrel. And we're going to face our ejection port to the right side of that and insert it into the front and all the way to the rear. Now, it may be hard to see in this video, but if you put the ejection port face toward the correct direction, then you're going to see a hole that you need to line up right in here that you need to put the cam pin in. Now, it has to be lined up just right. So I'm going to slide my cam pin right into there, and once I get it in, remember to rotate it back 90 degrees so that it locks into place, just like that. Okay? Now, a firing pin we can drop in just like that, and make sure that you push it all the way to the front. just like so. And once it's all the way to the front, then the last thing is to just replace your retaining pin. And that'll just go straight in, and it has to go over the firing pin, or else you can have issues. I've seen incorrectly reinstalled firing pin retainers where the firing pin came too far backward and caused a malfunction, and they were unable to get the rifle apart. So if you do get everything reinstalled correctly, you can see that the bolt will move forward and backwards in the bolt carrier easily, and also the firing pin will be completely captured all the way up in the bolt carrier and will not be in this open area, will not be too far backwards. So this is correctly reinstalled and ready to go back in the rifle. Now that this is correctly reinstalled, it's time to go back in the rifle. First, we'll need to put our charging handle into those two little slots that I was talking to you about earlier. Once you find those, then put your bolt back in the upper receiver, and you should be able to slide these in together. Just like that. And once you get this back together, then you can test and make sure everything's moving freely by pulling back on the charging handle. Now let's just spend maybe 30 seconds talking about cleaning the lower receiver. As I said earlier, I don't really clean the lower receiver that much. One thing you may want to consider doing from time to time is taking the buffer out and cleaning the buffer spring and the buffer. And very easy to do that. There's a buffer retaining pin here that's under tension. That holds the buffer in, and you just need to use a roll pin punch or something to push down on it, just like so. And as you can see, that lets the buffer and the spring come out. Do this with eye protection, because that buffer retaining spring will shoot out under pressure once you get this out. So just be careful when you do that, okay? I've cleaned mine recently, so I'm not going to do it today. I just wanted to show you how you get that out. And you'll use the same cleaning techniques that we've talked about to get carbon and fouling, and then go back and lube it with frog lube when you get done. So now we're all done. If you do want to throw some frog lube on the inside of this lower receiver, you can. I keep mine greased up with EWG Extreme Weapons Grease on my fire control group, so I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to line up my front takedown pin holes and just pop the takedown pin back through there. Do the same thing with the rear. We're all back together, and we need to do a good function check on our upper receiver to make sure that everything's still functional, and that is the cleaning of the AR-15 rifle. As I said, guys, this is fairly quick and simple. Don't spend a huge amount of time nitpicking over small details. Use a good solvent that's going to get carbon and maybe copper off, and then go back with an excellent lube like frog lube or any other of the fine oil, even Mobil 1 if you want to use that. I've used Mobil 1 car oil before, but CLP, Slip 2000. But frog lube is my new favorite. I would really encourage you to look into frog lube and try some out. I think you'll fall in love with it just like I did. And you can actually get it from Strongside Tactical, so look for that if you see Strongside Tactical out at any of the local gun shows in your area. So hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned something, guys. Please like the video. It gives us good feedback on what's working on the channel, and we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks again.